إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جد رسول الله. فقلت نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء. أقبل الحسن عليه السلام نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جداه يا رسول الله أتذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء؟ قال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب حوضي قد أذنت لك فدخل معه تحت الكساء. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. وما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولد الحسين قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه. فقلت وعليك السلام. فقلت وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وثمرة قوتي. فقال يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جد رسول الله. فقلت نعم إن جدك وافاك تحت الكساء. فدل الرسول عليه السلام نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جداه السلام عليك يا من اختاره الله أتذن بي أن أدخل معكم تحت الكساء؟ فقال عليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافع أمتي قد أذنت لك فدخل معهم تحت الكساء. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. أقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله. فقلت وعليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين. فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة الخيمة عند رسول الله. فقلت نعم ها هو مع ولدك تحت الكساء. أقبل علي عليه السلام نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله أتذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال له وعليك السلام يا أخي ويا وزيري وخليفتي وصاحب حوضي لفرائك أذنت لك فدخل علي تحت الكساء. اللهم
صل على محمد وعلى محمد.
ثم أتيت نحو الكساء وقلت السلام عليك يا أبته يا رسول الله أتذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بناتي قد أذنت لك فدخلت تحت الكساء. فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء وخرج رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم تحت الكساء وما بيده يمنع إلى السماء وقال اللهم إنا هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وعامتي لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم أنا أحب لمن خالفهم وسلب لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن عادهم ومحب لمن أحبهم إنهم مني وأنا منهم. فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم واصرف عنهم الرجس وخطيئة كثيرا.
اللهم صل على محمد.
فقال الله عز وجل يا ملائكتي ويا سكان سماواتي إني ما خلقت السماء مبنية ولا مدية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مبدية ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحر يجري ولا فلك يسري إلا بمحبة هؤلاء الخمسة فمنهم تحت الكساء. فقال لمن جبريل يا رب ومن تحت الكساء؟ فقال عز وجل هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعادن الرسالة هم فاطمة وأبوها وبعالها وبنوها.
اللهم صل على محمد.
فقال جبريل يا رب أتذن لي نهبة إلى درس ليكون معهم سادسا. فقال الله نعم قد أذنت لك فدخلت قهرك الأمين جبريل وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله. على علي أن يبدأ السلام ويقصك بالتحية والإكرام ويقول لك وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا زمرية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيئة ولا فلك يدور ولا بحر يجري ولا فلك يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم فهل تأذن لي يا رسول الله؟ فقال رسول الله وعليك السلام يا أمين وجه الله إنه نعم قد أذنت لك. فدخل جبريل وقال تحت الكساء. فقال لأبي إن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول إنما يريد الله ليصفى عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
فقال علي بن الإسلام لأبي يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واستقاني برسالة التي ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في مقتل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا إلا ونزلت شيعتنا ومحبينا إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وحفت بهم الملائكة واستكثرت لهم إلى أن يكفروا. فقال علي عليه السلام إذا والله فزنا وفاز شيعة رب الكعبة. فقال أبي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله يا علي هو الذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واستقاني بالرسالة التي ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في مقتل من محافل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبين وفيهم مهموم إلا وفرج الله هما ولا مهموم إلا وكشف له ذنبا ولا طالب حاجة إلا وقد له حاجته. فقال علي عليه السلام إذا والله فزنا وسعدنا وكذلك شيعتنا فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
नारे तकबीर
الله أكبر.
नारे रिसालत
يا رسول الله.
नारे हैदरी
يا علي.
हैदरी
يا علي.
محمد وآل محمد بلند کر صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآل الطاهرين. اللهم صل على ولعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في محكم كتابه الكريم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وقادمين الغيظ والعافين عن الناس والله يحب المحسنين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. أفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Does a good person get good things coming to him? If a person is good, is this the reason why good things happen to them? That it's because they're righteous, and this is why Allah has given them riches, because they have a good relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so the world is at their fingertips. Does this mean they are chosen or selected or more beloved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? This is a common misconception. For we see the people whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves are the people whom He detests. So the bala comes in different ways. Sometimes we have a bala, trial. It's adab al-dhalim, the hadith says, it's a discipline to the oppressor. Sometimes bala is a discipline to the person who is oppressive. And bala, sometimes for a believer, it's testing them and increasing in their rank. And sometimes it's removing your sins. It's kafara that Allah puts you to bala and remove your sins. But if we see the people whom Allah really loves, and this is a difficult hadith, particularly tonight when we talk about Imam Kazim Salamullahi alayhi.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
And so, this hadith, it's a heavy hadith. It's a heavy hadith. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says that in أحب الله عبدا ابتلاه, that if Allah loves a servant, He tests him, gives him trial. And then the hadith says in أحب الله عبدا حبا بالغا. If Allah really loves a servant, اقتناه. He does iqtana. So they say, Ya Rasulullah, what is this iqtana? That if Allah really loves us, He says, مَا تَرَكَ لَكَ مِنْ مَالٍ وَلَا وَلَدٍ. He will not leave for him no wealth nor children. Allahu Akbar. So you think this is, I don't really want God to love me that much. Love me, but not. But you see the ones who are truly loved, Abdullah, right? This, you see, Allah loves these people. This is what He does. Rasulullah, Allah loved him. And that's why even Allah told him before, you're going to have a son. You're going to love this son. But he's going to be killed by your ummah. He's going to be, he says in Zarat al-Nahiya, that they didn't give you any sanctity. And the proof that they didn't give you any sanctity. So for example, if you want a criminal for something, you get the criminal. You don't kill his family. You get him, you pay for the crime. But Imam al-Hussein said, not only did they not treat him as a Muslim, they didn't give him any sanctity. Your family is not even safe before they got to the Imam. SubhanAllah. And Rasulullah knew about this before it happened. Rasulullah was told about this by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let him know this. So this is important that we know that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves a servant, He tests that servant. And this is the seerah of all of the Ahlul Bayt. From the Holy Prophet and all of the Anbiya, this is their life story. Their life story is trial upon trial. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us trials we can handle. We can't handle what Ahlul Bayt handle. We can't handle what Imam al-Kazim handle. We can learn from their life, we can wish to be like them, we can try and take from their akhlaq and learn and build and develop and make ourselves better. But to be like them, something very difficult. There's something that is innate. There's a level and a degree that they have reached. It's very far from. We know when Allah loves a servant, He tests that servant. Because by testing that servant, you make that servant better. Because within the human being, we have a war going on. And it's been spoken about in different ways. Nafs al-ammara, nafs al-lawama. That this nafs that fights each other, you're fighting your desire all the time. It's a struggle. That it's important to have that struggle. Because if you let it go, what happens? The human being becomes arrogant. The human being becomes like a Fir'aun, like an Namrud. Becomes arrogant. The hadith says, لولا ثلاث لما طأطأ رأس بني آدم وادعى الربوبية. Beautiful hadith. If it was not for three things, then the son of Adam would never lower his head and he would say, I am God Almighty. لولا الموت والفقر والمرض. If it was not for death, poverty, illness. When people say, I am God, who can mess with me? And this is why when we are young, we do the crazy things because we feel like we are superior, we're too tough. I can't be killed, I'll jump off this building, I'll dive off that cliff. I can swim to the bottom and fly to the top. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says if it was not for that, then the son of Adam would not even lower his head. Within ourselves, there is a struggle, an ongoing struggle. And Imam al-Kazim, salamullahi alayhi, is known for Qadr. What's known as Qadm al-Ghayr. Qadm al-Ghayr is that you have the anger, but you close off that anger. And it's important. Because when we have anger, there's a lot of hadith that talk about how bad anger is. When you get angry, you let the beast take over your body. And you become like a slave of your beast. He tells you, you're angry. Kick a window, you punch a window, you break a door, you shout, you hurt somebody you never wanted to hurt. That's why you have that anger. Hold that anger in. Stop, you don't allow that anger. Because you discipline yourself. This is Imam al-Kazim, sallallahu alayhi, was known as al-Kazim because he lived through very tough times. You know, Imam al-Kazim lived through the transition of Banu Umayyah and Banu Abbas. Very hard. So it was the end of the Umayyad dynasty, these people who showed open enmity and used to kill the Ahlul Bayt. So the Abbasid dynasty used to pretend to like the Ahlul Bayt and still kill them in the most vicious of ways. So the Imam Salamullahi alayhi, he would hide his anger. He would hold in his anger. And he teaches us to control our anger. So anger is a scary thing. Anger can lead you to lose everything. And the hadith talk about that if you block your anger, there's a nice hadith. He says if you stop your anger, satara Allah awrata, which means that Allah will hide your shame if you stop your anger. What does this mean? This means when you get angry with someone, we might be in the Hussainiyya and I get angry with you, we start shouting at each other. I start saying the bad things about you, you start saying the bad things about me. All of a sudden, all our shame is for everyone to see. Because I'm angry and he's angry. The Prophet says, stop your anger, your shame will be there. This is very important. Very important. Imam al-Kazim Salamullahi alayhi is sitting one day in Masjid Rasulullah. This man comes, he is a great grandson of the second Khalif, Umar ibn al-Khattab. Somebody that doesn't like Imam al-Kazim. He doesn't like Ahlul Bayt much. He enters the mosque and he sees Imam al-Kazim. Imagine, this is Imam al-Kazim, and he starts saying bad things about him. He starts saying bad things about Imam al-Sadiq, and he starts saying bad things about Imam Ali alayhi salam. So the companions of Imam al-Kazim get very angry. So we want to kill this man. The Imam says, leave. They said, please give us permission. He says, no one is allowed to touch him. Do not touch him. So you think about it there, you say, wow, I couldn't hold myself in this moment. How dare he's talking to my Imam, my master. The Imam says, don't touch him. The next day, the Imam goes by himself to that man's farm, to the descendant of the second Khalif. He says, he walks onto his farm and the man sees him. The hadith says the Imam walks over his crops that he's just planted. So the man says, what are you doing? He says, how much do you expect to make from your crops? He says, I don't know, I can't tell the future. He says, I know you can't. I said, how much do you reckon? He says, 150 dinars. So the Imam says, here's 300 dinars. Gift for you. And whatever you make from that is your better what I want or what you want. SubhanAllah. 300 dinars, the Imam made somebody change completely. How much effort and difficulty do we put behind? Imam's teaching us a lesson. But always good to get angry. Because sometimes what you have to understand is a person, their ideas come from somewhere deep. They come from somewhere distant. It's been built up. It's not they're just coming to hurt you to say this. No. This man actually believes that my forefathers are right and your forefathers are wrong. But just give him a chance to see what it is, what this deen al-haq is, what the true religion is. This is the Imam Salamullahi alayhi. The Imam Salamullahi alayhi. Now I'd like to mention this beautiful hadith of the life of the Imam. But before we get to this, just to show you the Imam Salamullahi alayhi, they would listen to him at every moment of his life. You know, Imam al-Sadiq, for example, Imam al-Khattab, they were under surveillance all the time. They were always, they would listen to every word they said, that even when the Imam was in prison, they would listen to his dua. What is he going to say? Is he going to make dua against us? They wanted an excuse to kill the Imam. Not once did the Imam do this. And this is why they called him al-Qadr. The one that with one word could make me disappear. Remember the story with Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam and al-Mutawakkil. Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam, al-Mutawakkil used to always put Imam al-Hadi in the most difficult situations. So one day al-Mutawakkil planned to kill Imam al-Hadi. He never got to kill him, by the way. He insulted the Imam al-Hadi in a way. One of the companions heard. He looked at Imam al-Hadi and said, we say this to you. It's the Khalif, they can't do anything, right? Imam al-Hadi says to him one word. He says, I am of no less value than the camel of Salih. That's all. The man walks back and he meets with a friend. The man that heard this happen, heard what Imam al-Hadi said. They sit down and they're having lunch together. He says, I was there today and I saw Ali ibn Muhammad. He says, yes. He says, and al-Mutawakkil said something to him. Al-Mutawakkil humiliated him. So the Imam said, I am no lesser than the camel of Salih. The man stopped eating lunch and said, listen, Are you sure he said that? He says, yes, he said that. He says to him, Mutawakkil will die in 3 days. He says, what do you mean? He says, the people that killed the camel of Salih, 3 days do after Allah. The Imam says this, he's not living. He says, so go and de-invest, divest from everything you have with Mutawakkil and his companies, take it out, this guy's gone. So the man goes and sells, takes all his money away, 3 days Mutawakkil dies. Next Khalif comes. They know this, they know the Imams of Ahl make one word. We know in Karbala, this is reported not by us, by them. But the Imam, Nadir Ashura, builds a trench. Do you remember? And he puts fire in the trench so the enemies can't come to the women. And one of them says, oh Hussein, you hastened into the fire of hell. Imam al-Hussein says, surely it will be you who will be hastened to the fire of hell. His horse throws him off into the fire. The enemy. Immediately, word of the Imam is different. And so this is why they said Imam al-Kazim, one word. They would see what Imam al-Kazim asked. When Imam al-Kazim was placed in the jail, they would come, because they put him in private jails, because nobody would take him into a jail. Even the jailers that would take him would say, this man has the signs of prophethood. I put him in my house, he's just praying and fasting, not bothering anybody. How can I hurt this man? Beautiful hadith, it says, Man ata'a Allah yuta'a. It's a beautiful, may Allah bless us to have this ability. It says, whoever obeys Allah will be obeyed. وَمَنْ اتَّقَى اللَّهَ يُتَّقَى. Whoever fears Allah will be feared. And when you respect Allah's presence, you'll be respected. And you obey Allah, you will be obeyed. When you leave that, you lose your obedience with that. The point that's being said here is this is Imam, his presence, his aura is too much. They have him in a private jail. Someone comes, the Khalif comes to see what's the state of the Imam. Have they killed him yet or not? So he enters and they go up to the roof of the private jail. When they go up to the roof of the private jail, Harun, he looks down and he says, where is Musa ibn Ja'far? He says to him, you see that down there? He says, what is that? That's a rag on the floor. He says, that's Musa ibn Ja'far. He says that he's gone so thin and he is in sujood. He says, let me tell you about his routine. I'm sure you've all heard this. He says that from the morning he is in sujood after Fajr until Salat al-Dhuhr. This is something no one can do except for the Imam Ma'soom. He gets up for Salat al-Dhuhr, he prays Dhuhr, and I know he hasn't fallen asleep because he doesn't do wudu again. He's still on the same wudu. Until Salat al-Maghrib, prays the Isha, stops, he eats a little bit to break his fast, he sleeps for a little bit, and then he wakes up, Salat al-Dhuhr, all night until the Fajr. Listen to his dua. You know, there's 2 du'as of Imam al-Kazim. Very important du'as. Unbelievable. One is dua al-Hazim. This is the dua you read in Tahajjud, in Salat al-Layl. Amazing. Short dua, amazing. There's another one. It's called dua Jawshan as-Saghir. You know, the one that keeps saying these hypothetical situations, وَأَنَا حِلٌّ مِنْ ذَلِكَ, and I am free from this, Ya Allah. There's Ya Allah, Ilahi wa Sayyid. He says, not my master. How many a poor person is that is sitting around and he's just waiting for somebody to do him a favor by giving him some food or some water, and Ya Allah, you have made me free from this. So all praise is due to you. It's Imam al-Kazim. This is the dua that he was saying while he was in his prison. What made them put him in the prison, other than the fact that they couldn't handle having a good person around? Harun couldn't handle having someone like Musa ibn Ja'far. Why? Because he could never show himself as something great if Musa ibn Ja'far was there. How? How? In the presence of Musa ibn Ja'far, who is the sun, can a candle shine? Harun is not even a candle. He can't. He must extinguish it in any way that he can. And he thought that by doing this, he could get rid of the Imam. Very important incident that happened. But before we get to this incident, I want to mention this important hadith of Imam al-Kazim salamullahi alayhi. He talks about the 2 important things that we have, and that is basically our aql, which is the intellect, and our hawa, which is our desire. Intellect and desire, they're always fighting one another, all the time. Aql wins, you win, desire. So the Imam says three things. I'll give you three things. If you let these things, do these three things, then you become an assistant of your desire to destroy your aql. An assistant of your desire to destroy your aql. What are these three things, Sayyid Mawla? He says, Man adlama noora fikrihi bituli amali. It's very nice. He says, whoever extinguishes the light of their thought. Fikr is contemplation. You sit down and you contemplate sometimes. That contemplation gives you light. Because a lot of the time we think about the moment. Yes, this feels good, I'll do it now. I can get this pleasure now, I'll do it. Right? But when you contemplate for a second, say, what happens next? What happens now? How many a time do you get caught by a speed camera and you say, I wish I'll come 10 minutes late. Please, no speed camera. Right? How many times does this happen in your life? You say, I wish I never did this. What a silly idea. Contemplation creates nur. This nur allows you to see things for what they really are. This is where asma comes from. Ma'soom has asma because he sees with a different nur than the nur that we see. He sees the reality of the action. And a person that thinks in this manner, uses his executive function, his aql, and is able to delay gratification, is able to think that, let's see what's beyond this. The Imam says, whoever darkens the nur, the light of his contemplation, bituli amali, by having long hopes in this dunya. That what this means is when you have long hope in the dunya, you extinguish that light of you being able to see things. You extinguish that light. Excuse me, how much do I? Please come and sit down.
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So he says, whoever extinguishes that light by having long hope. The problem with having long hope in this world is it's false hope. You know why? In this world can be taken away from you like this. How many times have you seen on social media a post from somebody that's an academic or somebody that has some popularity or ability? And on this post they say, look, I'm sorry, I'm going on indefinite leave for hospital. The doctor just tells you, listen, you've got 3 months sorted out. You've got 6 months going sorted out. And you think, wow, this person had a life of, going somewhere, position, status, academia, whatever it is. And they did this because they had long hope in the dunya, but the dunya was like a mirage, false hope. And when you have that long hope, it darkens that nur of contemplation. You contemplate, you get nur, because at the end what the Imam's going to say, that a person that does this is like somebody who helps his desire against his aql. The way it's written in Arabic grammatically, it's sort of hard to translate to English, but inshallah we'll be able to do it. So you contemplate, you get nur, but you grow long amal, you grow hope in this dunya. You think, oh, this dunya, I'm going to build an empire. I'm going to do this and do that, and then all of a sudden, it just comes to you so fast. And you think, where did these years go? Where did this life go? If you've done good things, alhamdulillah, you're waiting for death, inshallah, for Jannah. But if you haven't, where is it all gone? It's fragile. It can be taken from you like this, subhanAllah. Sometimes, the smallest thing, wallah, the smallest thing can destroy your appetite. You're sitting down, you're about to eat, you get one SMS. The ATO wants to talk to you. That's enough. Stomach stops, you don't want to eat anymore. Huh? Smallest thing, doesn't have to be something major. This is how the thing is. This destroys the nur of your contemplation. وَمَحَى طَرَائِفَ حِكْمَةٍ بِفُضُولِ كَلَامٍ. Allahu Akbar. He says, and someone that erases his wisdom by speaking too much. Speaking too much is the biggest problem. Excess words, if you say excess words, this destroys your wisdom, your hikmah. Even sometimes you might say something wise, but then you say so many words, it destroys everything that you just said in the beginning. I have this problem sometimes. The problem is, you do this when you speak too much, you destroy your hikmah. The Imam says someone that does this, it's like they've become a supporter of their desire against the aql. So somebody that extinguishes the light of their contemplation by having long hopes in this dunya is a supporter of their desire against the aql. And somebody who does what? Who erases his wisdom by too many words, he has become a supporter of his desire against his aql. In other words, don't talk too much, don't have long hopes in this dunya. What does this mean? This means that you can do it later. Do you know why? It means that in this dunya, for example, I want to build this house. Build the house. But if you don't finish it, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. You'll get there. If you get there, you get there, you don't. But what's important is your salah. Yes, if you don't miss out on your salah, then yes, it's a big deal. If you're not fasting Shahadat, it's a big deal. If you're lying and stealing, it's a big deal. If you're following your desire, it's a big deal. But the things in the dunya, they come, they don't come, it doesn't matter. Because you'll never be satisfied. You'll never be satisfied. Hadith says, "Oh son of Adam," this is Hadith Qudsi. Hadith Qudsi means Allah said this, but it's not in the Quran. Hadith Qudsi, Allah says, "Ya ibn Adam, oh son of Adam, lan yamla aynuka illa turab." Nothing will fill your eye except for dirt. Your eye keeps saying more. The only thing that will satiate it is dirt. And when you put into the dirt, may Allah give you long lives. It's a lovely hadith. So he says, the last one, he says, وَأَطْفَأَ نُورَ عِبْرَةٍ بِشَهَوَاتِ نَفْسِهِ, that he extinguishes the light of admonition. Admonition, ibrah, is basically when you see something happen and you take a lesson from it. Or when you hear a story and you take a lesson from that story. This again is nur. So the Imam says that this nur gets extinguished by your desire. That when you follow your desire, you extinguish this. So if these three things, if you extinguish, and each one has its own thing, he says, if you darken the light of your contemplation by having long hope, so don't have long hope in this dunya. Always think about what can I do to get the most reward. You know, sometimes what this means, for example, let's say, I have a lot of money. I don't want to pay khums, I don't believe in khums. It's a problem. I have a lot of money, but I have a poor cousin. Give him some money. What are you going to do when you die? It's not yours anymore. You won't have it anymore. This is our problem. Sometimes the shaitan says, just wait, you'll give the money later. No, just give the money, it doesn't matter. You know why? The treasurer is Allah. More money is going to come. But I should benefit from it. The hadith where that man, he dies, and he's very rich. And he leaves in his will, and I'm sure you've heard this, he says, I want Rasulullah and Al-Hasan and Al-Hussein to hand out my irth. But what I've left behind all goes to charity. Like those billionaires, they say, when we die, everything's going to charity. But wait and see what happens. Although they keep dying, they don't give anything to charity. The poor people stay the same. He said that when I die, I want, and he had a orchard, a grove of dates. So the Prophet started giving out the dates, the hands of Rasulullah giving out dates on your belly, and he's there. And Al-Hasan and Al-Hussein. And then the Prophet saw either half a date or a seed of a date on the floor. He picked it up and he said, if this man had given this while he was alive, it's worth more than the whole grove of dates. Why? Because when he was alive it had value. When you're dead it has no more value because you can't benefit from it. So if you give it away, keep it, it doesn't have no benefit. It has no value for you. Right? So this is the issue. The problem is this, that when you have high hopes in this long hope, you say, I'll do it later. Salah, I'll catch up on prayers later. Right now, I have more important stuff than prayers. I have more important stuff than looking after my parents, being good to my parents. I have more important stuff than whatever it may be. And finally, he says, he extinguishes the light of admonition. Admonition is what they said. When you hear a story of someone, I just took a lesson from this. You go and you're strong in your spirit because you've just taken a lesson. Then you follow your desire, all of a sudden, bang, you lose everything. You lose everything. One look, you lose everything. Follow your desire. Allah, you just feel like you're broken. This is what the Imam is saying. So he says, whoever does this, he has become a supporter of his desire, of his aql, and whoever does this, man hadama aqlahu, whoever destroys his aql meaning intellect, not talking about grey matter and white matter, talking about intellect is in ruh. That intellect, the intellect that tells you right and wrong, the intellect that controls properly who you are, they're called executive function, but anyway. He says, afsada alayhi deenahu wa dunyahu. That not only does he lose religion, he loses his worldly life as well. That's how it is. This is the way it is. These are but lessons from the life of the Imam. And there are so many lessons to be had from the life of the Imam. And on this evening, when we commemorate the martyrdom of Imam Musa, who lived a life where he was imprisoned for years of his life, in difficulty, from jail to jail. Why? Because of the truth. The story says Harun al-Abbasi. Harun was very arrogant. Harun was a very arrogant leader. And he was somebody who had so much power. And so he used to always want to validate himself. You know, we need that validation. And these people who are tyrants, the people who are close to Allah, they don't need validation because they know who they're dealing with. And they know Allah doesn't miss out on one single thing. Doesn't matter if no one recognizes that Allah knows what it is. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ahsahu Allah wa nasuh. Allah accounted for it. If you forgot it, Allah accounted everything. And it's all there. Don't forget that. And so people, we think sometimes, no, but I need the people to see what I've done. Look, this is me, I'm donating this much. Look, this is me, look what I'm always doing the right thing. But I want everyone to see what I'm doing. This is Harun. Harun the hypocrite. Wants everyone to see how good he is and how close he is to the Prophet. After Hajj, they go to Masjid Rasulullah, Ziyarat Rasulullah, all the people around him, Harun with all his soldiers and everything around him in his red carpet. He stands up and he says, Assalamu alayka ibn al-Am. Peace be upon you, O cousin, to the Prophet. So everyone knows I'm the cousin of the Prophet, you know. I want you all to know that to show that he has status, and they're like, ooh, this is the cousin of the Prophet, that's why he's al-Khalif. And then Muslim Najafar. What did he say? Assalamu alayka ya Jadda. Peace be upon you, O grandfather of people. Who is this man? Because he was hidden. People didn't know who he is, but the second they saw his face, they knew what he was. Remember Imam al-Sajjad near the Kaaba? هذا التي تعرفه البطحاء. Right? This is the one the desert knows who he is. You don't know who he is? Right? This is what the poet tells you. This is the actual desert knows who he is, and you're saying you don't know who he is. When the Imam says this, Harun says, I've got to repair this. I have to fix this. He says to him, he notices the people saw, and when they see, Imam Musa ibn Ja'far, Samu and Nabuwa, these people, their faces, you can see them all. And so he turns to Imam al-Kazim, he says to him, are you not the son of the daughter of Rasulullah? The great grandson of the daughter of Rasulullah doesn't count. Son of a daughter is not like the son of a son. Right? So he tries to kill it. To say, you're the son of a daughter, you're not the son of a son, you don't count as that. And then Imam al-Kazim, salamullahi alayhi, he's just saying the truth. The Imam al-Kazim isn't doing truth. He's just telling him the truth. He says to him, oh Harun, if the Prophet came out of his grave today and asked for your daughter's hand in marriage, he said, I would be delighted, I will give him my daughter, I will become his father-in-law. And the Imam tells him, if Rasulullah came out of his grave and asked for my daughter's hand, I would not give her to him, for it would be his granddaughter. The second that he heard that, he understood, where are you going to go with that argument? Gone. Harun, his hatred started to seethe from his mind. That he couldn't handle this fact that he had to eliminate and end the life of man. These evil people, they can't live. They can't live unless they kill the good people. Wallah, they can't exist because they understand what is before them. They know, they would even tell the people that this is the person that has the rightful position of being there. Who else can pray like this? Who else can say a dua like these du'as that they say before Allah? What's the dua that we know? What's the dua that the Khulafa know? Ya Allah, give me money. Ya Allah, give me a beautiful wife. Ya Allah, give me a good husband, handsome husband. This is the dua we know. You listen to the dua of the Imam. أناجيك يا موجودا في كل مكان لعلك تسمع ندائي وقد عظم جرمي وقل حياتي. He says, I whisper unto you, O merciful one, perhaps you will be my whispers. For surely my crime is huge and my shame is so great for what I have done. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Truly, when you look and listen to those words, or the words of Dua Joshin al-Saghir, Allahu Akbar. You listen to it and it's something, it's unbelievable. Every word, every sentence of it, it needs a lecture on its own. Allah. And I'm not exaggerating, even though the Dua al-Hazin is short. And anyway, so the Imam Salamullahi alayhi eventually, Harun sent him from jail to jail. Every person he would go to, they said, we can't. You want us to kill this? This is part of Rasulullah. Look at the faith and the light and the prayers. We can't hurt this man. Until he found one man that was so wicked, he was not even a Muslim, a Sindhi ibn Shah. So he said to a Sindhi, put him in your jail and eliminate him for me. So a Sindhi would listen first to try and find an excuse. Give me one excuse to poison you. Listen, and the Imam would be doing dua to Allah, never dua against a Sindhi or anyone else. Until eventually a Sindhi poisoned some fruit and fed it to the Imam. Days in pain, alone in his prison, dying in this manner until eventually he succumbed to the pain and he succumbed to the illness. They took the body of the Imam Sallallahu Alaihi. They placed it in a kafan and they took it to the bridge of Baghdad. They placed it on the bridge of Baghdad for 3 days. They said, oh Rafidah, come and see the Imam of the Rafidah. He is dead. The Imam of the Rafidah is no more. The people flocked to the bridge to see their Imam. And watching the body of Imam Musa ibn Ja'far, was the son of Ali ibn Musa al-Rida, saw his father in this state. But Ya Ali ibn Musa al-Rida, do you remember the state of your grandfather Abu Abdullah al-Hussein? For 3 days Abu Abdullah lay on the desert of Karbala on the hot sand. Not a single kafan, not a shroud or a thing to wrap his body in. Imam al-Hussein did not have a drop of water in his mouth. And Imam al-Sajjad had no ability or strength to come towards the body of Abu Abdullah. They say Sayyida Zainab Salamullahi alayha, after she saw the fall of the flag, she stood on the Talla Zainabiyya and she looked out to her brother Abu Abdullah. She called out to him. She says, Abu Abdullah, answer me. And when she looked forward, she said, perhaps you cannot answer me, for your face is in the sand and you cannot see me, nor hear my call, Abu Abdullah. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah wa ala al-arwah allati hallat bifanadik. عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقي وبقي الليل والنهار. السلام وعلى وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. Ya Allah, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have mercy on our dead. We ask Allah to cure our sick. We ask Allah most importantly to hasten the reappearance of our holy Imam Ajla Farjuhu Sharif. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect our youth, inshallah, especially in this Western environment that we have. Ya Allah, guide them and protect them. Ya Hujjat ibn al-Hasan, be pleased with us and be pleased with them. Ajla Farjuhu Sharif. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us on the righteous path, the path of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad, the path of the Ahlul Bayt, inshallah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to not take us from this world until He is pleased with us. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. Together we'll do dua al-faraj. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma khud waliyaka
في كل ساعة دليلا وعينا
حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
And upon the souls of the deceased, particularly on the ones who established this Hussainiyya and the people who work to keep it established. That includes the attendants and everyone that is here. May Allah have mercy upon their dead and fulfill all of their needs and cure all of their sick. ببركة سورة المباركة الفاتحة with the salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.